I came to Rio by bus. My mom put me on the bus and told me one of my sisters live there and you're going to go there to live with her. I had never met my aunt, but when I arrived in Rio, I recognized her face because she has the same face as my mom. I didn't end up living with my aunt very long. When I was 17, she expelled me from her house. That was when I discovered how to be independent, and it was during that time when I abandoned my studies. Hey guys, welcome back. You're watching Moments with Milk. Here is episode 1, and we're going to be looking at the real life story of Jacqueline, a Brazilian who has gone through a lot in life, and we're going to look at her touching story. This series, Moment with Mills, is all about different life stories and experiences that people have gone through in life, and it's like a motivation or an inspiration to others who are going through similar situations, and just to let them know that this is a process. We all go through many different processes in life, but then there's a green light at the end of the tunnel. Here is my story. I was a child who dreamt of watching TV. I come from Northeast, from the interior of Sarah State, and I was raised on a farm by a family that was very, very poor. I didn't starve because we planted food to be able to feed ourselves. But we lacked many basic necessities. No light, no electricity, no TV. In my head, I idealized Woody Peaker. As much as my childhood was one of real suffering of the first order, I remember good points where I played a lot with my friends, climbed trees, and those types of things. I hurt myself a lot of times, but that is part of childhood. I came to Rio by bus. My mom put me on the bus and told me one of my sisters live there and you're going to live there with her. I have never met my aunt before. When I arrived in Rio, I recognized her face immediately because she has the same face as my mom. When I got to Mare, imagine that girl from the countryside, not knowing anything. For me, everything was new, but I adapted in a year. I didn't end up living with my aunt very long. When I was 17 years old, she expelled me from her house. That was when I discovered how to be independent, and it was during that time when I abandoned my studies. In order to survive, I worked at various places. First at a restaurant, then at a snack shop in Copacabana. At one point, when all doors were closed for me, I lived for a period of time on the streets. And to survive, I finally entered into the world of prostitution. After that, I went to work in a house of a family. Since I was very little, I always did my nails for fun. And along the way, an interest awakened that in me, that should be something I want to do. Then I opened a salon here in my home. I already had some clients, though not too many. I gained mainly through word of mouth. And something else that helped me and still helps me is Facebook, and I'm grateful to God because in a little time I already have a good amount of customers. It's actually enough for me to support myself. I had my first encounter with God when I was little over 20 years. My daughter was 9 months old. She was a premature baby and she was very, very sick. And I had just had my latest sentimental tragedy. My relationship with her father had gone down the rock. Imagine, my family in the Northeast, my aunt has abandoned me and I was alone. Literally, here in Nova Hollanda, that was when I received an invitation from my own aunt who said, come to church with me. I was very Catholic during my childhood, and I thought evangelicals were really weird set of human beings. They scream too much, and I will always think that these people are all crazy. But when I entered this time, there was a different atmosphere. I felt uneasy the whole time, and I didn't want to stay. But deep down, I knew that it was a solution to my problems. Deep down, just deep down inside my heart, felt at peace. I returned home with my sick daughter and I said, next service, I'm going to be there. The second time I went there, I went alone. I remember that I felt very uncomfortable with the sermon the pastor was preaching. And I heard the music at the end of the service. And from my heart, I said, God, I believe in your existence. But why did you allow me to suffer for so long? Why do you allow me to suffer this so much? If I told you in detail what I've been going through, you would think that there is no way I went through all of that. I don't know how I survived all of these beatings that life gave me. I remember I said, God, if you really do exist, look at me today. Look at me now. Because I can't bear this suffering any longer. And that was when I had a vision. It was as if my day, my hour had arrived. I can't explain exactly, but it was something really striking. A light, a lightning bolt. And I remembered that touched my very, very structure. I fell down on my knees weeping. After that vision, it radically changed my life. I changed how I dress, how I drink every day, and I stopped drinking from 1 hour to the next. I began to read the Bible to be able to know who Jesus was. And that was when my love for him grew. I know that with that reason, you will think that I imagine it all. Nobody will understand. It is just out of faith. I met my husband in church. It's a small church. And he always says that he has had his eyes on me for over a year, but I'd never seen him. When I first met him, I'd gone through a lot of traumatic deceptions sentimentally and had decided that I would never, never want anyone else in my life. I kept telling him, get out of my life. You ugly, you horrific, you black, and I don't like black people. I date white guys. He kept saying, I'm going to win your heart. I'm going to win your heart. And after all the rejections I gave him, he didn't give up. And with his insistence, he showed me I felt I was special. That was when I realized that there is someone who is actually there for me. And I said yes. It was 9 months of relationship engagement and marriage. I was certain that he was the right man for me, even though I wasn't in love with him. I thought he's a man of character from a good family and he's going to be a good husband and a good father for my daughter. And I didn't regret my choice. The love, the passion came afterwards out of gratitude for him. Seeing the way that he assumed caring for my daughter as if she was his real daughter, it was easy to love him. I can't love him more than I love God, but it's as if God gave him to me as a response to all that I've been through and all that I've wasted my whole life. That's how I see him, as someone on earth who came to supply the family that I've never had. No mother, father, and everything else. And today I have a family, and that's why I value it so much. As much as the child will say, oh, dad is so annoying, he won't stop doing my hair, everything he wants is just for the good of the child. Because during my whole upbringing, I wanted to have an annoying dad, just that annoying mom who would tell me stop doing this when I did these things wrong growing up. Deep down within me, and I was clamoring that someone could do this for me, but there was no one. There was one day I was 18 and I said to myself, do you think there's anyone who will want to adopt me? I saw the older adolescents had their mom, had their parents, had their dads who were protecting them, and I'd longed for that. And so today I transfer that discipline to my daughter because I know that a child without discipline becomes lost. I went through a lot. It is inefficient. I think in the 5th chapter that it asks for children to honor their father and mother so that their days may be prolonged on earth. It's an order, it's a commandment of God, and for me not to have that harmed my life so much. That is why today I do everything so that my family follows the standard of being a family. It's not the perfect family. I have problems with my stepson as well, but they're problems that I'm able to handle. 10 years from now, if Jesus hasn't returned, I have to say that we faithfully and we hope for his return. For me, I really want to go back to school to leave an example for my children so that they can see the value of their studies. I want to go to college, preferably in cosmetics, and I have a dream to have a franchise of salons. But the main thing that I want for my children is to be a woman and a man of character, that they have professional success, that they marry well, that they be people who are happy, and I'm going to do whatever I can to avoid the traumas that I went through. I am Jacqueline, and that is my story.